We're live.
Welcome everyone tonight to the MotchCast. Our special guest tonight, a little info on him. He's had almost 1,300 career matches. He's held countless titles, including the Georgia Junior Heavyweight Championship, the NWA World Tag Team Championship with his father Angelo, the NWA Mid-Atlantic Gulf Coast Tag title with his brother Randy. He's wrestled in numerous promotions all over the world. It's probably best known for his run in the WWF, where he holds a win over Hulk Hogan on Saturday night's main event. He is the author, best-selling author of two books, 1998's Wrestling with Rhyme and 2004's Limericks from the Heart and Lungs. He's a motivational speaker and probably best known as the brother of the Macho Man Randy Savage. It's my pleasure to introduce tonight the poet laureate of the World Wrestling Federation, the genius himself, Leaping Lanny Poffo. Lanny, how are you doing, sir?
Much better than I look. Thank you so much.
Wow, what an introduction that was, huh?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, these guys do their homework, man. They're good co-hosts, man. They do all the high-tech stuff and the co-hosting stuff, man. You know, otherwise it'd just be me talking to myself.
Now, the Limericks from the Heart and Lungs book that I wrote, it was nominated for a Newbery Medal. And John Newbery was, I believe, Mother Goose, the real one. And I was nominated, but I did not win. And it makes me so angry, I want to throw my iPhone, and the interview will be over.
Man, no, don't do that. Don't do it, not yet.
Yes. Hey, get my wife's name out of your effing mouth.
I remember hearing that somewhere.
Yeah, I don't want to have to slap you.
Man, don't slap me, man. We're cool, brother. We're cool, man. Here's something I want to ask you right off the bat, man. You know, I know that you've done stuff with Jay Lethal, and you've done stuff. You know, I've seen pictures of you with other lookalikes and everything, right? Of course, none of them are as great as I am, but you know, that's a story for another time. Does it make you? I mean, obviously, you like it. Does it bother you at all at any time to, does it get you kind of start pulling at your heartstrings kind of thing?
Well, I can tell you this, that we were friends. We had mutual friends, Ed Schumann, and he did a three-way call, Macho Man, Ed Schumann, and a young Jay Lethal, and asked permission to do the Macho Man shtick. And Randy said it was fantastic. It's the sincerest form of flattery. Now, if he had said otherwise, I wouldn't be as receptive to you.
Right.
I'm telling you that Randy enjoyed being imitated.
Okay, great.
And if he didn't enjoy it, and I know that he did, then I wouldn't be cooperative with you on this podcast. To be honest with you, I don't do podcasts anymore. Because there's so many of them, and I'm saturated with it.
Right.
But I have a particular affinity to you, Macho Man.
Man.
And I think that your imitation of Randy is coming from a very deep place. And I also enjoyed that you imitated me once.
That's right.
Yes.
I'm led. Wait, how can I do it? And that came out of nowhere.
I'll tell you what, if you don't break character. If you imitate me, you won't be able to get back to the Macho Man.
Right,
Very confusing.
I'll do it. I'll do it sometime. I did for Halloween. I went out and actually bought a cap and gown from Goodwill, and I said,
"Oh, you bought a cap and gown, yeah."
Yeah.
Sort of. I bought several in my time, but
mine weren't as cool as yours. You had some cool ones that matched your gear and everything. I just found a blue one, and I said, "Oh, I got to do the genius thing," and I didn't even think that I could do an impression of you, but I think it's actually gotten better. So I'm going to work on it and deliver some cool stuff to you.
Now, I must say that although I'm trying to honor my brother's memory, I haven't always. When I was 59 years old, my birthday, I said, "My God, I'm the older brother now."
Right.
And it occurred to me, like Star Trek, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. And my brother did not want to go into the Hall of Fame without my father and myself. And I saw my mother that day, who I took care of for 6 years after my brother passed. And I said, look, I'm going to have to go against Randy's wishes. I'm going to have to put Randy in the Hall of Fame by himself. And she says, you can't do that. Those were not his wishes. I said, because I was the youngest, a lot of times I didn't get my wishes met.
Right.
So I'm going to be responsible for all of the unpopular decisions from now on. Just remember, it's not the macho man, it's the macho fan.
Right.
If it wasn't for the fan, we wouldn't be existing. So when I look at you, macho man, is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, macho man.
Macho man. I see a man that is really crazy about the macho man, and you are keeping his memory alive. And I give you 100% good tidings for that.
Thank
And I
you.
hope it comes back at you, and I hope somehow you gain from it. I know that you're just doing it out of love, but I believe somehow if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to get success beyond your wildest dreams.
Wow, man. Thank you so much, man. Like, I could end the interview right there with that, but I'm not.
Okay, bye.
No, man. Oh, man. That's, because there's a lot of haters out there, you know what I mean? And I definitely pay too much attention to them when they try to, they'll try to crap on what I do. But, getting an endorsement like that from you, it's like, who could possibly say anything? You know what I mean? So thank you so much.
If Randy didn't love Jay Lethal, I wouldn't love you either. Okay?
Right.
But since he did, and he said it a million times, that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Absolutely.
He didn't make it up, but I'm just reiterating.
Right. Absolutely, man. And, I just wish that I was able to. I actually did, man. There's a story of when I was a little kid and I met Randy outside, and I met you too. I'm originally from Westchester, New York. So at the Westchester County Center, I met Macho Man outside, and I did my impression for him. Even at a young age, I was able to do it, and he liked it. And I remember meeting you. You were on a payphone outside on the corner. That's how long ago it was. You were on a payphone, and I stood there patiently waiting for you to get off the phone so I could say hello and shake your hand. Many, 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 many moons ago.
Yes, I was in the middle of an unhappy marriage, and I was just trying to make the best of it on the payphone. We didn't have iPhones back then.
Right, right.
Who would have thought it would culminate to this?
I know, right? Now here we are having a conversation like practically face to face.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, man. Man, it's like this is like really it's a real honor, man. Seriously, not just as, you being his brother, but just that you agreed to do this, and especially what you said that you don't do many podcasts. So, really thank you so much for taking the time out, and you must be missing out on something going on in Ecuador right now. You live in Ecuador, man. How did that happen? There's a good question. Sorry, guys, I'm like on a roll here. How did you end up in Ecuador, man?
Well, there's a fellow named Sebastian Fierro, and he's a promoter down here, and he's got he contacted me and asked me if I wanted to do a seminar and I said, okay, but I'll do my best. And so I came down, did a seminar, made a 1 hour speech. Then they asked me 4 hours worth of questions, and I had to get something to lean on.
Huh.
And so what happened was the next day, Sebastian and his lovely wife, Maria Elena, and the 2 daughters, they are no longer married now, but they took me on a tour of Quito, Ecuador, and Cumbaya and Tumbaco and every place. And I was so impressed that I said to myself, one day I'm going to retire here. And my mother died June the 3rd of 2017 at the age of 90.
Wow.
And but I had become a grandfather. And now I'm a grandfather 2 times, a 5-year-old and a 2.5-year-old.
Oh, wow.
And but because of the COVID, I wasn't getting to see them anyway. Okay, so so I decided if I do it now, that way if it's lousy, I'm not a masochist. I'll just come back.
Right.
But it was everything beyond my wildest dreams. Everything that I'm interested in. For example, the climate, 48 degrees low, 68 degrees high every single day of the year.
Wow.
And we got a place called Parque La Carolina. It's Carolina Park, 186 acres of land. And every morning I go there, get my walking in. Then there's a gym right there, and try to keep from sagging. And then, and I'll tell you what a healthy lifestyle. I've lost 40 pounds since I've been here. Very happy. I think something's wrong with the food in the United States. That's the only thing I can figure out.
Right. Yeah, definitely, man. Because I told you, man, you're looking younger when you're posting pictures. I'm like, wow, man, Lanny looks like he's healthier. Just like you look younger. Like it must be the good living out there, man. It must be in the air, bro.
Thank you so much, and you just reminded me of something. I don't know. I don't want to turn this religious, but say a prayer for Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Jacques Rougeau. Yes. They're not doing. I don't know what's wrong. They're not doing well. Well, I know what's wrong with Jim. We're very dear friends. We're in contact all the time. But he's got. Everybody's got problems. Okay. Right. And did you know about these 2 guys?
I know that I didn't know about what was going on with Jacques Rougeau, but I know that for years that Hacksaw has had his ups and downs with cancer, and starting even way back.
Yeah, and he had renal cancer, and he only has 1 kidney now.
Oh man.
Yeah, and so he's had his ups and downs, but we're the same age, him and I, both born in 1954. And Jacques, I don't know what's the matter with him. Something to do with, who knows? I don't want to give misinformation on your show. But it's I don't know if you're praying, people, but go ahead and send some good wishes for these guys who did a lot for the wrestling business.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right. Yeah, man. Because, you hear about it too often, man, bad health and worse. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Definitely, man. Definitely. I'm always hoping that I'm not going to hear any bad news from anybody that I used to, idolize and watch. It just becomes more and more frequent than you'd like.
And what I can't understand, the Iron Sheik is still alive, but Nikolai Volkov is dead.
That's what I say. I can't believe it, man. I've been saying that the Sheik is 80 years old, and it ain't from clean living.
No, he's been trying to kill himself for 40 years,
Unreal.
And he's still alive. And Nikolai, well, he did one thing. He got a heart attack, and they wanted to give him 2 stents. He told them a noun and a verb, and he left, and he died. He wasn't really Russian, but he was Croatian or something, like the former Yugoslavia.
Right.
But he spoke about 9 languages, and he did the Russian national anthem.
Of course.
Then the bell rang, and that was when the entertainment died.
Man, I remember that. That was like when I first started watching wrestling. That was the tag team. I think they were the tag team champions, if I'm not mistaken. It was in '85.
You stupid mother.
Yeah. That's Sheik's. That's kind of like his catchphrase now. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, he's calling everybody names. Yeah.
But
Lanny, I've got a question for you real quick.
yeah, go right ahead, man. I was gonna say you guys probably have a bunch of questions.
I'm kind of curious, what was it like growing up in a wrestling family? How were the other kids' reactions to your father, and did your dad ever kayfabe you guys?
He kayfabed us till I was about 12 years old. And listen, I already knew. I could, and you know that as great as Macho Man against Ricky Steamboat was, did you know that because it was all scripted out by Randy, did you know that some people think that took away from it?
Yeah.
And here's Randy's point. If I could speak in his place, my father always said that the greatest match he's ever seen was Buddy Rogers against Pat O'Connor. Now, of the three of you, let me ask you a question. Be honest. Have you seen the match on YouTube or not?
I don't believe I have.
No, I know the names, but I've never seen it.
Okay, please watch it. Not now, but after we're done. You know, take your time. And Randy thought it was the greatest match he'd ever seen too, and his goal was to have a match better than that. And he only had one criticism of that match. You could hear them talking. You couldn't hear, but you could see them buzzing each other's ear.
Oh, I never noticed it, honestly. I've watched it a million times.
Go watch it and check it out. One tackle, drop down, hip toss, arm drag, and then it goes in, boom. Okay. Randy felt that if everything was memorized, it wouldn't be necessary to get a rest hold. It wouldn't be necessary to call a high spot. It wouldn't, because the high spots were already predetermined.
Right.
Okay, so, I mean, that was the reason. And how stupid do you hope the fans are? They see you talking in the ring. Okay, of the three of you, haven't you seen wrestlers talk in the ring?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Sometimes
but I never,
you can hear them.
not in that match.
Right.
Well, when 93,000 people in the audience, you couldn't hear, but you could see it.
Right.
And it's
John
also
Cena is one that, you could see him, and even Ric Flair, man.
I loved Ric Flair, but it was Ric Flair that said that Randy should be diminished because it wasn't blah blah blah, right? And I loved Ric Flair. He was always nice to me, but don't speak ill of the dead. And there was a reason Randy did it that way, and he didn't want to be in a rest hold because that's for fat people. See what I mean? Steamboat and Randy had the athleticism to go all, boom, 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 and entertain those people till they couldn't scream anymore.
Yep.
And can I just say one thing? Referee Dave Hebner is not doing well either. Because I was with Earl, his twin.
Right.
And he showed me pictures of Dave, and I said, oh, my God. And I think he was a Vietnam veteran, Dave was. And I think he's got the Agent Orange. You follow me?
Yeah.
And, he looked horrible. And I'm just, when you're praying for Jacques Rougeau and Hacksaw Jim Duggan, please pray for Dave Hebner, a fantastic person, great referee. And watch the match again between Macho Man and Steamboat. And watch every time there was a false finish, anybody's shoulders down, he would dive to the ring and in a panic go 1, 2. I'm amazed he didn't throw out his shoulder.
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, he had to have been in great shape to ref that match.
There was
moving.
There's like 22 false finishes. Yeah.
He's not in great shape now. I couldn't believe the pictures, and it was really sad. Because I was with Earl in I was with him in England, in Liverpool, England, and before that, I was with him in Allentown, Pennsylvania, I believe. And I said, well, I haven't seen you in all these years. Now I see you every day. You know what I mean?
Right.
But now Dave is not doing well, and I think might be something wrong mentally.
Like dementia or something like that.
Both good guys, in my opinion.
Man, that's so sad, and it's just gonna. as we get older, we're going to experience more and more of our past, disappearing.
That's right. And we just lost Razor Ramon, Scott
Yeah.
Hall.
That one was hard.
Yeah. And I don't think he would have lived as long if it wasn't for Diamond Dallas Page.
Oh, for sure.
And
Without a doubt.
I hope he was in time to save Jake Roberts.
Jake seems to be doing well, man. He looks great.
I hope so, because I loved working with him. My God, he was great, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And how about his interviews? Trust me. How about his interviews? Trust me.
Oh, his promos were like, he just was great all the way around, man. I mean,
in my opinion, I'd buy a ticket to see him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jake never yelled for his promos. It was always quiet and low key, so you had to listen. It drew you in.
Yeah, and then he believed it.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. Myself, I would have screamed if everybody else was talking softly, and if everybody was screaming, I talk softly.
Right.
I just wanted to be different.
You had you were so intellectual the way that you spoke, even your voice, the diction and so it's like you did have your own style because of your speaking voice, was enough. It was different. It was different from everybody because not only was it your voice was so like so clear and so like everything was, so pronounced. I guess your voice and your diction, whatever you would call it, it was a lot different because people kind of sounded like idiots sometimes, you know what I mean? But you came out with a very, using big words and stuff like that. And,
Well, what I tried to do as a baby face, I wanted to be the happy baby face, not angry all the time. And when they turned me heel, I was also very happy. So my smile was everything it was my MO.
Right.
Like as the genius, I wanted to be the happy genius.
Right.
Okay. And behold, the world's smartest man, and all that crap. So, and I'll tell you who I credit, we did 6 vignettes, and it was just me, the makeup lady, and guess who was directing?
Randy?
No, I wish he would have been, though, but it was Howard Finkel.
Oh.
And he told me, Lanny, can I give you because I did 6 poems that were going to be turned into 45-second vignettes. So they told me, make sure the poem is 45 seconds worth. And I said, behold, I am the genius, the world's smartest man. And Howard Finkel says, Lanny, can I give you a little feedback here? And Howard Finkel, to me, is like the greatest ring announcer of all time.
Oh, for sure.
And I would be crazy not to listen to what he had to say. He says, instead of saying, behold, I am the genius, the world's smartest man. Behold, I am the genius, the world's smartest man. And keep your arm up like that, okay? And I did it. And just remember, if Vince wants you to do 6 vignettes, if he doesn't like them, they will never see the air.
Mm-hmm.
See what I mean? So you're not, just because you're doing vignettes doesn't mean it's going to be aired.
Right, right.
And I credit the late Howard Finkel, for giving me a little bit of indication to help me with my style, to turn the dial up just a little.
Mm-hmm.
Behold, I am the genius, the world's smartest man, is a lot more interesting. Behold, I am the genius, the world's smartest man.
Right. One little tweak like that.
Yes. And I tell you what, when Randy died, I got a call from Ted DiBiase. I got a call from Bret the Hitman Hart. I got a call from Hustler Rip Rogers. I got a call from Ox Baker. Ox didn't give a good phone call. I had to eventually hang up on him because he was starting to ramble. You got to keep. got to keep, when you're doing a condolence call, keep it brief.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And so then I started talking about his resume, and I'm not interested in hearing it. My brother just died.
Right.
So anyway, the only guy from WWE that offered his condolences was Howard Finkel. And now he's no longer with us. And I'd like to say, Howard, wherever you are, I still love you, brother. And thank you for helping me.
Yeah, that Howard was, when you hear his voice, you just think 80s wrestling. Like, you know what I mean? The Madison Square Garden, all those events there, the house shows, when they used to air it on like the MSG network, man, it was like, as soon as I hear Finkel's voice, man, I'm like a 12-year-old kid again. You know what I mean? Huge staple in wrestling.
And now, led down the aisle by his manager, Elizabeth. Boom, 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 boom. Randy Macho Man Savage.
I wish I could do an impression of Howard Finkel. That would be great.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great? Why don't you work on it? Get a tux.
I'm going to work on it.
Work on the comb over and then finally giving up.
I'm not too far from doing that.
Yeah, Randy had a little receding thing.
Yeah, I know. I remember you saying that, and I can relate that he was very self-conscious about it. And it is one of the worst things that a guy could experience, man, So I understand that.
I just recently saw, I believe it was A&E Network had a Macho Man show. Did you see it?
Was it the biography from a while back?
I think so, yeah. I can't remember now. There's been so many.
Right.
But Jerry Lawler said that Randy locked Elizabeth in the dressing room. May I just say that the door was locked from the inside. Elizabeth didn't want to shower with Brian Knobs.
Right.
And may I just say also that as a one-time loser, married once, divorced once, that I don't give marital advice. Jerry Lawler, you've been divorced 3 times. And if you look at your Wikipedia page, I don't know what's true and what's not, but it doesn't sound like the New Testament, okay?
Right.
So don't be talking about Randy unless it's a compliment.
And he wasn't even there in WWE.
He wasn't there,
at the time.
Thank you. He wasn't even there.
He wasn't even there, man. People love to put in their, people hear things and then they like to be the one to say it as if it's like, like they're going to get praised for coming out with this information.
Thank you.
But,
Thank you.
Yeah.
You just handled my point for me. Excellent. Thank you so much. And also, when Fabulous Moolah was there, Cyndi Lauper, any girl, guess where they dressed? With Elizabeth.
Right.
I mean, when you were in high school, did you shower with the girls?
Well, I wish I did, but I did not.
Still be in high school.
Did not, and there was a reason for that. And nowadays, you actually can shower with girls that are transitioning. But whatever. But
that's a whole different transition.
That's a different thing. Yeah.
But speaking about that, now that I have you on here and, coming from the horse's mouth, so to speak, of course, everybody's got their version and their story about Randy and how overprotective. And I believe that, he was, but for good reason. Like, is anything that people have said about, like how much of it was, obviously some of it was the gimmick, him like in the early 80s, him yelling at her and bossing her around and making her hold the ropes and everything. It's a character. But he was so good at his character that people went and took that and said that he was like this awful person that, treated her like shit.
Yeah. Now, here's what happened. Did any of the guys try the door? No. You know why? No balls. Okay? Because the Macho Man was on the other side of that door. But now that he's gone, everybody's got balls, right?
Right.
Except I am a most hated man there is, because guess what? I was there and I remember everything, and I'm calling you out. If you are bearing false witness against my brother, I will mention it, reiterate it, and destroy you with my
Good.
truth.
Good. That's what, and I wish that more people would just like stop spreading rumors about rumors that they hear. You know what I mean? That's why I'm asking you, like, how much of him was like behind closed doors. What was your brother Randy like with Elizabeth? Because they seemed very much in love, and I don't believe for a minute that he was, you know, abusive the way that he was on camera. You know what I mean? How was their relationship?
Well, instead of just asking me my opinion, let me give you some facts, because facts don't care about your feelings. Okay. When Randy wanted to work with Shawn Michaels and end his career by passing the baton to Shawn Michaels and putting him over,
Right.
It bothered Randy very much that his match with Steamboat could not be topped.
Right.
He wanted to be the one to top that match. Unfortunately, 50% of the greatness of that match happened to be because of Ricky Steamboat. Admit it, true or false?
Right.
True.
Okay, you can't. It takes two to tango, but he was doing. They had him as an announcer, and as great as I thought he was great as an announcer, but Randy's interview was good for 2 minutes, not for 1 hour.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just a little bit of. I believed that too much of it is like whatever. Brevity is the soul of wit, and a little bit of Macho Man, you'll remember it forever, but an hour of it, okay,
Right.
That's enough now. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So he had an idea that Shawn Michaels was becoming the greatest talent, especially when he got out of the tag team thing.
Right.
And Randy wanted to actually have a match ending in WrestleMania, where if Shawn Michaels loses, he shaves his head. If Randy loses, he retires to the microphone.
Right.
And of course, he was going to put Shawn over and go back to the microphone. But before he did, he wanted to have a better match with Shawn Michaels than he had with Ricky Steamboat. That was his goal.
Mm-hmm.
And Pat Patterson told him, well, we're having a youth movement now, so the best thing you can do is hold the microphone.
Right.
Okay? So he said, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was elderly. But maybe I'll get a second opinion on that. So he calls WCW, gets himself a fat little contract, and then he goes to Raleigh, North Carolina, and speaks to a company called Goodmark Foods, which is the umbrella company of a thing called Slim Jim.
Uh-huh.
And listen, who signs my check is whose praise I sing. I do not knock Vince McMahon ever, because I'm still profiting from the fact that I was lucky enough to work for him.
Right.
However, whoever was in the room when they thought that Bam Bam Bigelow could replace Macho Man Savage, are you crazy?
Yeah.
Bam Bam is. I've seen a million of those guys. They're screaming Fat Guy Magazine. Macho Man, there's only one. Now, let me ask you, Macho Man, can you imitate Bam Bam? No, you can't, because he has no distinctive personality. He's just a fat bastard that's yelling. You know what I mean? You can do a Macho Man imitation because it's a personality.
Right. There's so much characteristic in it.
Yes. And Bam Bam, so they tried to put Bam Bam instead of Macho Man, and of course Slim Jim chose Randy over Bam Bam.
Right.
Okay?
Didn't they try with Ultimate Warrior too? Give him
what happened was Ultimate Warrior left. Ultimate Warrior had the Slim Jim account, and when he left, they turned Randy babyface, gave him the Slim Jim account.
Wow.
Now,
okay.
And Randy wasn't making much money, but he knew that his Q rating was high because a wrestler with a commercial is better than a wrestler without a commercial. Because you leave the microcosm of wrestling into the stratosphere of the real life, okay? Because Slim Jim was being advertised not just on wrestling shows, but a lot of places.
Right.
So he was exposing himself to a new genre.
Yeah, some people only know him as, people that aren't wrestling fans. They'll still know who he is just by the snapping with Slim Jim guy.
Yes, and what happened was the contract was worth $750,000 a year going to Ted Turner's Atlanta instead of, now, if they say, how come they didn't take Randy back? Well, that's one of the reasons.
Right.
But listen, Randy didn't need to come back. He had successfully, they cut a deal where Randy made a better share of the lion's share of the money. Instead of it going elsewhere, it was going to Randy's pockets.
Right.
And Randy needed to because he was suffering from a divorce. And just think of this now. I'm on a roll here. Yeah, they got a divorce. And what happened was when Randy's in the WCW, everybody's saying, how's Liz? How's Liz? How's Liz? How's Elizabeth? And Randy knew that if he didn't bring Elizabeth back within the WCW, there's going to be, it's like a story without an ending.
Right.
So guess what? He swallowed his pride, brought Elizabeth back, and they worked a deal where babyface, heel, babyface, doesn't matter. It was good television.
Right.
And everybody thinks that Randy was angry with Lex Luger because of, this and that. And unfortunately, she died in his home, or her home. I can't remember.
It was his home.
It was his home?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me tell you what. Randy loved Lex Luger. And as a matter of fact, Lex asked permission if he could date Elizabeth. And he says, hey, I've got nothing to do with it anymore, but thank you for asking. And yes, you get a green light. Treat her well.
Mm-hmm.
How's that?
Which he didn't exactly treat her well because there was, well, again, I wasn't there, but there were,
you weren't there. But when you're 41
abuse.
years old, when you're 3 times 7, which is 21, and you take pills with the drink, it's not my fault. It's yours.
Right.
So Elizabeth was 41 years old. I don't remember. 41?
42, I think.
Whatever. When she died. And, if you got a problem, look in the mirror. That's who to blame. Unless somebody gimmicked your drink.
Right.
And that never happened. Nobody said it did.
Right.
But I would like to say Lex Luger is not, evidently he's not doing that well. He only weighs much less than he weighed when he's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And he's from Buffalo, New York. They asked me in the magazine, did Randy harbor any resentment for it? Absolutely not. So let's do some healing now. And, Randy could make a mountain out of a molehill, but he had nothing but love and respect for Lex Luger. And if he were listening to me now, he'd be thanking me for clearing that up a little bit.
Right. Right. I mean, and there was no hard feelings between Randy and Elizabeth when they divorced, right? I mean, they stayed friends because when she passed away, didn't he, send flowers? I remember you saying in one of the DVDs. Yes. So, they remained friends. It wasn't a bad breakup from what it sounds like. It was just that, they got divorced for whatever reason. They got divorced. People get divorced all the time. It didn't work, but they remained, sociable with each other, right?
I think in many ways it was a big success, but love does not always last forever. And in this case, Elizabeth called me up and said, I'm so sorry. I know Randy's angry with me, but I want to get back with him. Can you help me? Oh. And I said, yeah, I can. I'll tell him you called. and that's your number. Anyway, whatever happened after that is none of my business, and none of our business. But the thing is, marriage is anybody here married? Raise your hand. You're married, huh?
Just Eric.
Yes, sir. I've been married almost 30 years now.
And how is it going?
It's a job. You know, just like you said, it takes two, and it's work. You know, but
Well, my religion is I am a born again bachelor. Okay, but I go back. I visit my grandchildren. I visit my daughter. My ex-wife always turns up, and I treat her very well. I don't like to, Did you see that little thing I did? Who saw it?
I caught it.
Yeah.
I have no animosity toward anyone. Just a little fun, okay? If we can't laugh at ourselves, what's the point?
Right.
True. Very true. Now, Lanny, I want to get back to some of your early stuff. I think you were
by the way, there's a guy in my upper left that hasn't said a word yet. What's the deal?
Yeah, that's you, Dennis. He's very quiet.
Well,
Okay,
I'm always
I'm sorry.
behind the
Go-
scenes
go-
a little bit, kind of reading the questions that people have and stuff. And my dog
back
was
to
also
your-
barking. Didn't want to interrupt.
Go back to your question.
No, I was going to say, I think you're the first person to hold tag team championship with his father and his brother.
Oh, I don't know if that's true or false, but yeah, I did. We were champions, and I remember the first match. We were working for the original Sheik. Okay, I think I offended the guy in the upper left.
Nah, he's good. I think he's a little starstruck by Lanny Poffo.
Oh yeah. So I remember the first match I had with my father. It was Angelo and Lanny Poffo versus Leo Burke and Lou Fez. And I said, one of these things does not belong here. I said, what the hell am I going to do? So Lou Fez I said, Lou Fez is old, so I'll take it easy on him. He grabbed me in a wrist lock, took me over like that. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, my God. Don't worry about Lou Fez. He was great. So I was thrown in with a lot of great stars. And I was pretty nervous wrestling Lou Fez. Have you heard of him?
Legend.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Now, you wrestled all over, not only in NWA, but you also wrestled for a little while in Portland with Roddy Piper, only you went under the name Lanny Holiday. How did that come up?
Wow, I didn't know that.
I just thought I loved that name, and I thought it would be kind of cool to call myself Lanny Holiday. And I'll never forget, Roddy Piper came to me. And what a fantastic guy. I mean, am I right or wrong?
Right.
Yeah.
I've had the pleasure of meeting him. He was a great guy.
And he said, Lanny, I couldn't sleep last night. I got an idea. Can you work heel? And I said, yeah, I can work heel. And he says, I've got a great idea then. I'm going to bring you to Los Angeles. And you're going to, how would you like to wrestle on top with the Guerrero family? And I said, wow, that'd be great. And I said, the great thing is I speak Spanish and I'll be able to get heat, calling the people whatever and this and that,
Right.
and then saying I speak better Spanish than you, which is not true, because a gringo would never speak better Spanish than a local, So, and I was all excited. And he told me that the promoter in Los Angeles, geez, I can't even think of his name right now. Wait a minute. Isn't that sad? I can't think of his name. I talked to him for an hour, and he says, Lanny, Roddy Piper was like a son to me, and if he says you've got what it takes, then by God, we're going to bring you in and give you every opportunity. Not only that, but I like the sound of your voice. We're going to give you a screen test to see if you've got what it takes in the movies, because I've got people and connections. And it was So I was very excited, and I called my mommy, daddy, and brother, and I said, "Hey, I've got a big shot in Los Angeles here." Blah blah blah. 2 weeks later, my dad calls me and said, "We're going opposition, and we need you for that, and you're going to have to call." Oh, it was Mike LaBelle. Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't think of his name. Isn't that sad?
Hey, it happens.
Yeah, Mike LaBelle. So I call him up and I said, "Mike, I'm so sorry, but I just got a call from my father, and we're going opposition in the Kentucky, Tennessee area, and they need me. And I am so thank you for the offer, but I have to turn it down." And what really hurt me was he was so nice about it. It made me feel even worse,
Right.
because if he was a jerk about it, I could say, well, at least he's a jerk or something.
Right.
So anyway, and then I had to talk to Roddy Piper, and I apologized, and I said, "Listen, I've got to go with my parents and my brother, And he says, "Oh, no problem. I understand completely." And I thought, what great guys these guys are, because here he's giving me a gift that no wrestler gives another wrestler ever.
Right.
And I have to say no because family over friends. But it really hurt me. And I'll tell you what, I was the last guest on Piper's Pit. He had a podcast, and I think something happened between him and, maybe you know the story better, between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Piper. I don't know. But it's all ancient history now. It's 2015 where he passed. And I'm just telling you, at least I was able to tell his fans, his audience, thank you for what you tried to do for me and how uncommon that is in this wrestling business.
Absolutely.
That somebody does something for somebody to help them. And
Right.
there's nothing I wouldn't do for Roddy Piper. Nothing at all. What a great man. What a good man.
Now, you're talking about the Portland area that you had to turn down because your father started ICW. I'm just curious.
I was in Portland with Piper, and I had to turn down Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. I'm just curious.
I probably talked too fast.
I know there's YouTube videos of the ICW territory, but who owns that footage, and does any of it still exist besides what's on YouTube?
I don't know, and I don't remember. It wasn't. See, I was 1/3 partner. I was 1/3 partner I invested in it, and I was, let's put it this way, a silent partner and a reluctant partner. I never wanted to go opposition, but as the youngest in the family, I did what was expected of me. And then when I turned 59, I remembered how badly I felt by not being able to go to Los Angeles for Mike LaBelle, thanks to Roddy Piper. And I told my mom, I said, "I'm sorry, I've got to do it. Remember when I was the youngest in the family, I wasn't allowed to go to Los Angeles. Well, now the fans are suffering every year that the Macho Man isn't in the Hall of Fame. And it took Bruno Sammartino way too long to get in. His fans were already dead by the time he got in."
Right.
So
And
that
now,
was like ridiculous.
speaking of that, the whole thing about him not getting into the Hall of Fame right away and everything, the whole heat between WWE and Macho Man, wasn't that all pretty much the whole Slim Jim thing and the whole, like, it wasn't anything, that's the only thing that I could think of, because, Vince is all about business, and now, he left with all that Slim Jim money. Is that the reason why there was like a grudge?
Well, there's another rumor. Maybe you can tell me what the other rumor was.
Yeah, but I never believed that rumor.
Well, the thing is, everybody asked me, and Randy and I were very close, but Randy was not a kiss and tell man. Okay, I don't know if it's true or false. I don't know. And there's only 2 people that knew. One of them's gone. You see what I mean? And I have no idea. Now, I've heard people say that I said that blah, 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 but that is just people trying for clickbait.
Right.
Okay. And I don't want to get involved in it. Now, I met Stephanie when she was about 8 years old. And then I met her again in 2015. And I have to say, very easy person to fall in love with. Great personality. Nothing like you saw on the get out of my father's ring. No, she doesn't
Right.
talk like that. That's just a gimmick. Okay. She's lovely. And if I knew, I wouldn't tell because she's a wonderful person and she deserves a little respect.
Right. I just personally, because of the age difference too, was that's the thing, is that he, that would have been the most wrong about it. I don't know exactly how old she was or whatever like that, but I just have very hard time, especially if he was with Elizabeth, because he really did love her very much, that I can't see, unless it was after. I don't know. I just don't believe it. I'm not going to fall for it.
But anyway, thank you. I know you're all, had too much respect for me to ask, but I had to ask it anyway and answer it anyway, because there was a little, if they wouldn't allow him back in the WWE, there must have been some reason. And I'll tell you what, Randy hated being called old. And did you ever see that video, Randy Savage present day, when Triple H was interviewed for the wrestling magazine? They said, what do you think of Macho Man and Hulk Hogan? Well, they were great, but they're dinosaurs.
Right.
Well, Hulk Hogan was water off a cat's back. Randy was not. And he was mountain out of a molehill. So he's threatened to take your girl, Stephanie McMahon. I may give her back to you, I may not. We've all seen it. But instead of, I always say, instead of asking me, why don't you just get from the horse's mouth himself? And he just didn't like being called old. And then they started making fun of his hairline. Remember the Nacho Man huckster?
Right.
Scheme Gene? Well, that didn't get over big with Randy at all. So,
yeah, I remember hearing that. And again, man, it's like, to me, that was just such a, Macho Man made so much money for Vince, and he was, and then all of a sudden for Vince to act like a, like a child and start making fun of him, you know what I mean? Because he left, because he was basically being forced out. I don't know. I think, I don't know the whole story. In my mind, I want to believe that it was, that Vince got butthurt because Savage wanted to leave and he took a whole lot of money with him.
Yeah, but he didn't want to leave. He wanted to work with Shawn Michaels.
Right.
Now, please, gentlemen, compare Randy wanting to do the favor, put him over, lose the match, and retire to the announcing table. Compare it to the Montreal Screwjob, which was based on selfishness and unwilling to cooperate. True or false, please?
Yeah.
Very true.
Okay, you see the difference?
Yeah.
Okay. And no, I love Bret Hart, and thank you for calling me when Randy died. But Bret, as many Canadians, never considered Montreal to be Canada anyway. There's a bit of a civil war there. Did you know?
Didn't know that.
Oh yeah, there's Quebec, and then there's the rest of Canada, and there's a lot of animosity. It's not just the wrestling business that does this, and it's especially with Pierre Trudeau, and all these people that are ruining Canada.
Now, from ICW, I'm going to keep jumping around here. I know you went over to Mid-South for a little while, and you worked there, pretty successful. I swear I remember seeing a video package saying they were going to bring Randy in, but Randy never came. What's the story on that?
Well, they brought in Bill Dundee as the booker, and that kiboshed everything. And then, as a matter of fact, I was given my notice soon the day that he came in.
Okay, so yeah, you guys went to Memphis in the CWA. There you tagged with your brother, and your father was there as well. You feuded with the Rock and Roll Express. And I know towards the end of that run, Jimmy Hart was very influential in getting Randy into the WWF, but there was a rumor that you were going to go to the AWA.
I was going to the AWA. And then Randy, I guess, remember when Dr. D. David Schultz slapped John Stossel in the face?
Oh, yes.
How could we forget?
Well, after that, let me think. Dr. D. David Schultz went to Memphis, and he tagged up one Saturday on television with Macho Man. And he started talking against Hulk Hogan, talking against Vince McMahon. Say he is the pronoun for Dr. D. David Schultz. And then Randy's out there with his interview, and then they go out and wrestle. Randy's on the top rope doing stuff that nobody was doing at the time. Vince McMahon got a hold of that tape and said, "Oh, this guy's great." And then George Scott and Randy got on the phone, and he was the booker at the time. And he says, "Yeah, but my brother is going to AWA, and they'll just eat him up if I go to WWF." He says, "Is there any room for Lanny?" He said, "Well, not on top. But what can you do for him?" "Well, is he a heel or a babyface?" He said, "Well, he's right here. Let me ask him. Are you a heel or a babyface?" "You're not going in on top." I said, "Well, if I'm not getting in on top, I'd rather be a babyface." Do you see my logic?
Right.
You know, because it's the David Goliath thing. Besides, in my opinion, I would have said yes to a job in the WWF, taking the jackets back to the locker room.
Right.
Because eventually, if you've got anything going for you, they'll see it.
Right.
You know, and sure enough, I was in there, and then 5 years later, I'm wrestling against Hulk Hogan on NBC. And I had a 4-month run of main events. Twice was in Madison Square Garden. Now, 2 main events in Madison Square Garden is about 235 less than Bruno Sammartino had. But just like a fat girl on prom night, I was appreciative.
That's, I mean, being, one of my goals, because I used to wrestle, by the way, before doing all this. But one of my goals, of course, just like any wrestler, was to wrestle at Madison Square Garden. For you to main event at Madison Square Garden with Hulk Hogan, that's a huge, check off the to-do list. You know what I mean?
And I walk around in Ecuador. Nobody knows me. Nobody remembers it. And everybody's, just trying to make a living here with their $400 a month salaries. It's they're trying to do what they can. And I'm thinking to myself, fame, if you win it, comes and goes in a minute. But it meant something to me, and I still remember. And that's why I never knock Vince McMahon. Who signs my check is whose praise I sing. Right.
Understandable.
Now you had to run with Hogan. Did you get any advice from Randy? Because they're synonymous. Those two names together are synonymous. I'm curious if he had any advice to you on working.
Oh yeah, he gave me a lot of advice. As a matter of fact, you just jogged my memory. When I became the Genius, I went up to Bobby Heenan and I said, "Look, they're going to make me the Genius. I'm going to be a heel. And I want to come to you to clear it because it's very close, the Brain versus the Genius. And evidently you came first. And I hope you don't think this might be copyright infringement, gimmick infringement." Right. And he says, "No, thank you for telling me. I'm so happy that you're finally getting a break. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you as much advice as you are willing to listen to. Would you like for me to give you advice?" Now, gentlemen, if Bobby Heenan wants to give you advice on being the Genius and he's the Brain, wouldn't you think that it would behoove me to listen to him?
Definitely, man. There's a reason why he's the
Genius if you
brain.
didn't.
What's that?
I said you wouldn't be a genius if you didn't listen to him.
Yeah, I think,
Absolutely.
and you know what? We talked and talked and talked for hours before every match, after every match, and he had a lot of insight into the character, and he helped me a lot. What a great man! And you know, if you remember, Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan were on the USA Network, and it was a Halloween special. And
Right.
Heenan says, "Give me your cap and gown. I want to dress as the genius for Halloween." And he
Right.
painted in his beard, and you know, and I thought to myself, what a fantastic person he is to do that for me.
Right. Once again, flattery, imitation,
Yeah.
to
And
one of
Gorilla
the
Monsoon painted his face red and slicked his hair back, and he went as Brother Love.
uh
Thank you. You know, and then yeah, Randy had a lot of help for me. And before and after. Okay. And I can't get specific on what he said, but Randy was always interested in the athleticism. Okay. He always wanted to prove that wrestling, he can't prove that everybody's an athlete, but he was always trying to prove that he was.
right.
And if you remember him and Ricky Steamboat together, the greatest arm drag giver and the greatest arm drag taker.
Absolutely.
I mean, watch it again for the first time and just look at Dave Hebner, how great he was as the referee, and how great those. You know, watch it again. You know, it doesn't cost any money to watch it again.
I have DVDs. I'm old school, man. I've watched that match so many times, and the thing that makes it different, people. First of all, Ricky's arm drag, unbelievable. But if you don't take it well, then it doesn't look good. And Randy would take that arm drag the same way that you would take a hip toss. He would go up and over, not flop sideways. And that's why it looks so beautiful. I tell people, when you take an arm drag, try to take the same bump as a hip toss.
Absolutely, yes, you're right. And are you wrestling anywhere, or do you work? Do you have a job?
I used to, I wrestled under Vic Devine for like 15 years before I started doing this, but my back is all screwed up, so I don't wrestle anymore.
Right. There's a lot of injuries in wrestling. I'm just lucky that I don't have anything chronic, you know. So I'll be 68 years old in December 28th. You know, I just came. Any of you guys chefs?
Chefs?
Do you
I
like to
wouldn't say
cook? Anybody
professional,
like
but I
to?
do enjoy to cook.
Who likes to cook out of the three of you?
I could microwave the hell out of things.
I don't
Well,
mind.
I just went to Liverpool, England, where it was for the love of wrestling. There must have been about 50 wrestlers,
Right.
and then a friend. I've had a friend for 35 years from Swindon, England, and he took me and brought me back, and we went sightseeing and doing stuff that, even though I've been in England, I never had the opportunity to do, and I want to do it while I'm young enough to enjoy it. Well, I got to meet Marco Pierre White, 3-time Michelin chef. And he was fascinated because I was a wrestler, and he remembered me. And he had just had, he's got a hotel. And so I wrote a limerick for him. And I said, top Michelin chefs can't compare with the legend of Marco Pierre. White Heat 25 keeps romance alive with the stories that he loves to share. And he starts crying and he says, how did you know all that about me? I said, well, you're all over the internet. He said, well, when did you write this? I said, last night and again this morning. And what a fantastic guy. And he's considered to be one of the greatest chefs in the world. And he goes around, he's on television all the time, and but mostly in the UK. Have you heard of him? Anybody?
I can't say I have.
Okay, well, look him up, Marco Pierre White. Look him up when we, because this interview's It's just drawing to a close now. What would you like to learn about me? Give me a question. We've been on the air for like over an hour now.
I've got a question about the Hall of Fame. If I can jump that in real quick.
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
Me and Dennis and Mach have discussed this before. I'm kind of curious as to why Elizabeth's not in the Hall of Fame. Is there something going on? Is her family against it? And also, to follow up on that, I know there's a little heat with you and the company over not paying condolences for your father and your brother. But would you ever accept an invitation to the Hall of Fame as a genius?
Well, first of all, I don't know if the family of Elizabeth has been offered this. I don't know. If they have, if they must have reasons, maybe they blame others for, But the thing is, Judy Garland discovered that's what comes from too much pills and liquor, and it just doesn't mix. And I don't expect to be asked to be in the Hall of Fame, but if they asked me, I would definitely go, and I would definitely invite my daughter and my two grandsons. Although the 2.5-year-old, well, they're both pretty young to understand it, but by the time I get in, they'll be in their 30s, and hopefully I'll still be alive. If they run out of people, to go in the Hall of Fame, I'm sure I'm in the final choice.
Well, there's people in there that don't belong in there as much as you do. So I don't know what they're.
Name somebody.
The Bella twins.
Well, they got 4 big advantages on me.
Right, exactly. See, and not only those 4, but also John Cena and Daniel Bryanson and John Laurinaitis being their stepdad now. So the Hall of Fame doesn't. You belong in the Hall of Fame for legit reasons of what you've done in the business, whereas other people are in there because of just being in there. You know what I mean?
Well, what I'm really proud of is the speech I gave for my brother only lasted 8 minutes. And some of those guys are still out there talking.
Yeah.
I mean, please, just thank everybody you ever met and just get the hell off.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think Mr. T was one of the ones that went on for a while, and Sherry Martel went on for a while, but she pretty much told everybody when they were like, she was like, "Fuck off! I got things to say,"
Yeah. And let's see. Mr. T, he loved his mother, didn't he?
Oh yes, he did.
And quite often.
Yeah.
And Larry Zabisco was he went on, and let's see, Hillbilly Jim.
Oh yeah.
What's it? Ultimate Warrior. That was almost the cause of his death. His long speech.
I actually got to meet you and Zabisco at WrestleMania 30 at one of the fan fests. You guys were at a table signing, and you had just found out about, you had just agreed to let Randy into the Hall of Fame, and you definitely kept it kayfabe, because I remember telling you it's a shame that he's not in. It's a travesty. But did I know.
You're talking about New Orleans. And,
correct. Right.
So what happened was Mark Carano invited me to go to New Orleans and be interviewed and stuff. And I said, by the way, I've changed my mind. I want Randy to go in the Hall of Fame by himself. Oh my God. I'll call you back. So 30 minutes later, he calls me back and he says, look, we only like to have one posthumous inductee per year. And this year it's Paul Bearer. So he says, if you please kayfabe for 1 year, Randy will go in San Jose, California. So I only told my mommy, but she didn't have a Twitter account.
Well, we are all happy that you decided to allow them to put him into the Hall of Fame, because that was one of the ones for years. People were like, how could there even be a Hall of Fame without Randy Savage in it? You know what I mean? And everybody was speculating why. And of course, they brought up the whole Stephanie thing, and they everybody knew. You know, everybody had their own version of why, you know, he wasn't in there. But you know, it ain't much of a Hall of Fame without Randy Savage in the Hall of Fame.
Well, the story I told you on his when he left and he went to WCW, compare that to what he might have done. Like he might have had more satisfaction beating up Pat Patterson and Jay Strongbow on the same day. You know, but
Right.
instead he thought business. I mean, give him credit for not doing that because you don't like to beat up elderly people anyway. You know, and then I remember Pat Patterson came to me and before my Hall of Fame speech, and he denied and apologized at the same time, not putting my father into the Battle Royal.
Right.
Okay, are you familiar with this story?
Yep.
And I think to myself, he sounded like Richard Nixon. You know what I mean? Hey, if you don't apologize if you're innocent, and if you're innocent, why apologize?
Right.
Well, the fact is, he's full of crap. Okay, and but I didn't want to say anything because just to look at him, I'm talking to a dead man walking. You see, there's no way. He looks like he's 11 months pregnant and never going to deliver. You know, and I didn't come. I came there to read my speech and accept the award and come back. That's all I was there for, not to get in an argument with Pat Patterson, who is in one ear and out the other.
Right.
So I actually kind of have a question. If I'm Eric, kind of asked some of my questions I was going to ask, but I kind of want in particular the whole thing with Jake the Snake and Macho Man with the snake biting incident. Did Randy ever have anything kind of to say about that? I mean, obviously he had some concerns, which I think anybody would, but did he anything, maybe other kind of stories that maybe we haven't heard of, particular about that particular night? Because obviously anyone that watched that on TV, I mean, that was for the time, that was pretty gruesome stuff for regular TV at the time.
Well, I just before I went to England, they asked me if I had time to go to Stamford, Connecticut, and give my version of the story of the Snake versus Macho Man. And I said, well, I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. You can either do it before I leave or after I come back. So they said, how about before you leave? I said, that's fine. So, first of all, I remember Randy and Elizabeth were arguing in the front seat as we were going from Indianapolis to Fort Wayne, Indiana. And that's where it was going to take place. And she was saying, Randy, this is terrible. Don't let the snake bite you. And Randy says, I got to do it. You know, it's like devenomized, and it's going to get over so big. Randy's all business, you know?
Right.
And so I was pretending to be asleep because I learned you can't win, you know?
Right.
And so Randy goes, boom, and he hits me and he says, wake up. He says, they're going to let a snake bite me on the shoulder to get all fired up with Jake the Snake and have a, he says, would you let it happen? And I said, even a devenomized snake, when he sinks its fangs into you, this is a king cobra, not a python like it's been.
Right.
Okay. They put their fangs in. Even the bacteria in the devenomized snake's mouth is going to get in your bloodstream, and it's not good.
Right.
And he says, well, would you do it? And I said, no, but I'm not the Macho Man either. So the question is, what would you do?
And
so
he ended up getting really sick, right?
He got 103 fever, and the snake died.
He got a little bit of that madness in him, and then he still wrestled.
Oh yeah,
he still wrestled, even being like deathly sick like that.
Randy wrestled deathly sick, yes.
Man,
and he wrestled very well.
Yeah, you'd never even know it. I don't, I didn't know that he was, that he had a temperature of 104 when he was wrestling. I didn't hear that until after, and then I'm like, wow, You know, he's still 100% when he's in there.
Yeah, at WrestleMania 5, he had a staph infection in his elbow.
Yep.
That's true, and he still did the job.
Probably gave Hogan his best match ever.
To the best of his ability.
Oh, here's something I wanted to ask because I forgot. It has to do with memory. Was Randy's memory just like unbelievably because he did his matches, a lot of his matches memorizing, like the one with Ricky the Dragon. Did he just have like an amazing memory to be able to like do a match planned out?
If Randy wanted to, he could have just played cards in the dressing room and taken everybody's money every night. Not cheating, but he had that what do you call Rain Man thing. He could remember the cards. Okay. And when he was in baseball, he was only making $500 a month. My father told him, "Don't worry, I will subsidize you," because even in 1971, $500 a month was not a lot of money.
Right.
And but he would every night play cards with the bonus babies. A fool and his money are soon parted. And sometimes he would lose on purpose if he felt he was winning too much. You know, you get people tired of losing. And so he'd drop a few hands. But he took as much money out from those people as he wanted to. Now, all he'd have to do is follow Arnold Skaaland around with a deck of cards and he would have made a fortune. Anyway, yeah, Randy was gifted. He was brilliant. And if you thought he was the greatest wrestler that ever lived, I can't argue with that. I thought so too.
I think we all agree. He had it all, everything.
Yeah, and people say, no, we don't want to talk about Randy. We're going to talk about you, Lanny. And I said, well, there wouldn't be a Lanny if it wasn't a Randy. Because don't forget, he went out of his way to get me into the WWE. And that alone made up for the fact that he took me out of Los Angeles that time.
Right.
It didn't seem like it at the time, but all's well that ends well.
Was there any truth to when he went to WCW that he was trying to get you in over at WCW as well, or he did, and they just didn't do anything with you, or is there any?
Yes, I bleached my hair blonde. Don't forget, he had just gotten a contract for the WCW,
right?
A Slim Jim. So it was then easy for him to sell his lesser talented brother. I bleached my hair blonde. I got contact lenses in my eyes. I wrote a song and recorded it to enter the ring with. I worked hard, and I even gambled my life with human growth hormone because it was legal and steroids was not. But I got myself I was in the sunbed 1 hour a day, and living in Florida, I'd go to the beach. And I was trying to get ready for a phone call that never happened. But the money kept rolling in.
Now, you referred to the gimmick that they were going to put the Gorgeous George moniker on you.
Right.
That's right. Randy had bought the name, but as soon as they realized that it was not going to happen, he gave that name to Stephanie Bellars. And that was Gorgeous George, which was a gender-bending name for her.
Now, Gorgeous George meant a lot to the Poffo family. Randy, of course, used his music, the Pomp and Circumstance, as his entrance. But also, I heard a story that your father paid for Gorgeous George's funeral.
Yes. Thank you for saying that. And a lot of people thought that my father was a very thrifty man, and he was. But he said that if it wasn't for Gorgeous George, he might have quit the business because he was wrestling for Al Haft. Randy was gestating in my mommy's tummy. And Gorgeous George was not an alcoholic. He just drank a lot. And my father was the designated driver of Gorgeous George. And George, my father said that he's a college graduate. My mom's a college graduate. He thought that with both of them, teaching school, they would have a double income, and it would be not as exciting, but a safe way to go through life and have a family. And Gorgeous George says, "Don't be ridiculous. You've got charisma. I can feel it." And he says, "You haven't even given yourself a chance yet." He says, "Forget that school teaching. You go and do this. You be a wrestler." And when Gorgeous George, who he was making 17% of the gate anytime he went anywhere, because he was, when television was first invented, he was the first wrestling superstar, TV star. Between him and Milton Berle, they sold more TVs than anybody else, they say. This is back 1945 and then on. Gorgeous George was getting 17% of the gate, and he made $9 million in 6 years. How's that?
Wow.
Unfortunately, there was a hole in the bucket, and no matter how much water you put in the bucket, it all goes in the sand.
Yeah.
And Gorgeous George got divorced about 3 times. At the time of his death, he was living in a flop house, where they put bums and indigents.
Oh,
when he finally died, my dad said, "If it wasn't for Gorgeous George, I would have never made it in this business." And he called his wife, and he said, "Well, we've been divorced for a long time, but I believe my father gave $10,000 for the funeral."
Wow. Very generous, and Randy was very generous as well with children's charities and stuff. And that's again, like those A&E specials and all those biographies, how they leave all that out, and they put in things that aren't even true. That was very upsetting that that they didn't speak about how much he loved kids and how much he helped
the
kids.
He had no children of his own, but he loved the Special Olympians. They were all his children. And he went to children's hospitals, and they all know who he was.
Right.
The only problem was they should never interview your ex-girlfriend who is angry.
Right, right.
But the thing is, Randy was in the gym, and they said, "Do you remember Lynn Payne?" And he said, "Yeah, I really do." And that's who Randy dated when he was in baseball. But when he got released for the 3rd time, he realized that marriage could not be in the cards for him because he was starting out as a skinny wrestler. 1975 he started. 1985 he made his debut in Madison Square Garden. I'd say he got the last laugh. But I will say this about Lynn, his wife. At the time of the accident, Randy's last words were, "I don't feel good. I think I'm going to pass out." You know what she did? She grabbed Randy went over the embankment. His foot was still on the accelerator, and they were about to hit a bus and a motorcycle. And she grabbed the wheel and steered it into a tree, saving the lives of all those people.
Yeah.
And when does she get her medal for that? Never.
Very true. That hero award. For in the Hall of Fame. I mean, even it's some type of a recognition for that, for sure. They just, maybe because it's a wrestler, they just figure, okay, a wrestler had a heart attack, hit a tree. Okay, on to the next story, But
now she grabbed the wheel and put it into a tree and saved the lives of people on a bus and a motorcyclist that doesn't even have anything protecting him from the sudden death. So, just remember, his wife's name is Lynn, and she's a hero.
And how is she doing these days?
She's doing very well, and she's. There's a lot of people that are not really happy about my decision to move to Ecuador. Okay, but the thing is, I would have never done it while my mother was alive, and I still get to see my grandchildren and my daughter. And there is such a thing as Facebook Messenger video chatting. And trust me, I'm getting the best of all worlds.
Right.
And if I wasn't happy here, I would leave. And
Right.
yes. And by the way, any of you guys went on vacation in Quito, Ecuador, you warned me, and I'll take you someplace nice.
Might have to take you up on that.
Here's the deal.
That would be cool, man.
Yeah, I know where all the good places are.
Awesome, man.
But I'm warning you, there's a lot of pretty girls here, and
I see.
And they're quite promiscuous.
Man, hey, let me tell you something, man. Every time I see a picture with you, maybe that's why you look young and happy, man. You always got some hottie with you, brother.
I'll tell you what, they're I walk in like I'm a big gringo, you know what I mean? That gives me an advantage. And then when I was in Florida, I was popular too, but I was always on the friends list, and I couldn't figure it out on the friends list. And now I'm right in the game. And, you know, in 2.5 years, I'll be 70. That's probably when I'll hang up my my dreams and aspirations. But I'm going to get it all in before I'm 70.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good, man. Well,
you know what the difference between 365 used condoms and a blimp?
What?
Well, one's a good year, and the other was a great year.
I like it.
Yeah. So, any other questions before we close?
Man, I'm sure that as soon as I'm done here, I'll have a million of them. We'd love to have you back on again.
You in the upper left, you've been pretty quiet. Why don't you come up with a question?
Well, like I said, Eric has kind of used half my question, so it kind of.
Sorry.
But no, it's okay. But I'm not sure if you guys know this. There is a Rip Rogers connection here.
Right.
Between Motch and obviously you guys training Rip Rogers as well. And Motch was actually trained by Rip. One of his trainers was Rip Rogers as well.
Right. I forgot to mention to you that in 2005, I went down to OVW because I've been wrestling since 97. And in 2005, I moved down to Louisville, Kentucky, and was being trained at OVW, and Rip Rogers was my trainer. And so there's the connection is that you guys, you know, you and Randy and your dad all trained him pretty much. And then, you know, then he was one of my trainers. So he speaks highly of you. I'm trying to get him on here too. But
was Damian Sandow there at the time?
Yes.
Well, I have to tell you that I get a call from Steve Kern, and he told me to meet Damian Sandow. He wanted to ask permission to use my gimmick.
Right.
And he says, Lanny, I really enjoy, you know, watching, you know, as the genius. And I was wondering if you wouldn't mind if I kind of pay tribute to your gimmick. And I said, look, I stole that gimmick from thousands of people myself.
Right.
You know, if you copy from one guy, it's stealing. If you copy from everybody, it's research.
Right.
So I said, you just go ahead and do the best you can. And I told him about Bobby Heenan. When I was the genius, Bobby Heenan was the brain, and he didn't mind. So why should I mind?
Right. Right. And you look at a guy like Hulk Hogan, which is pretty much superstar Billy Graham. You know what I mean? You look at Jesse Ventura was also, you know, a version. I mean, you do. I mean, I'm disappointed in myself that when I was wrestling, I didn't take anything from Randy Savage. I didn't take anything from anybody. I was trying to do it all on my own. I didn't want to be like, you know, like anyone. But damn, I would have been so much better if I would have incorporated some of the Randy Savage stuff. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you a question. Is that a wig or is that your hair?
It is a wig, but I'm growing my hair out because I want to be authentic.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
How much hair have you lost? How far is it up?
You want me to show you?
Well, I don't care. I mean, you know, if you don't mind, I don't know.
Well, the truth of the matter is that it was completely bald. I actually ended up getting a couple of hair transplant surgeries. So my hair actually does look like the way that Randy's looked, you know, in 99 when he was slicking it back. And, you know, so I rock that style too.
Let me just make you a promise. while everybody's listening. I'm not going to succeed, but I'm going to try. If they ever do a movie about Randy, I want you to audition.
Oh, for sure.
And now I can't guarantee I can get this done. I don't even know if there's going to be a movie about Randy, but you never know. And I'm a good guy to know if there is. Okay.
I have a feeling that you might have, some pull there. You might know a few people.
Well, the
here's
thing
the
is, I
thing.
don't know if there's going to be I don't know. If there's ever going to, but I'll tell you what, somebody ought to make a movie about Randy while his fans are still alive.
Listen, I've been saying that, and I actually spoke to Evan Ginsberg, who was my guest on here a couple weeks ago, and I told him, I want to make a movie about Randy's life. I want to play him, and I want to do all the research, and I want to be like, because I know you, and I know Rip, and I know so many people that we could actually get an accurate story.
Yeah. Well, more important than that, pump up, because you got the visuals and you got the voice. Does he not? I mean, who's going to do it? So keep working out, and because that's the hard. Yeah, there you got it.
I got it,
but
man.
I'm trying to give you incentive to work out even harder.
I will. I do, man. And the tanning too, man. Yeah. I take it very serious, man. Probably I'm a little nuts when it comes to,
Well, Randy was
details.
a little OCD himself, wasn't he?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. But just remember, he did it for the fans. He did it for you.
Right. And this weekend, I'm going to Jacksonville, Florida as Motch. I got booked to do this River City Wrestling Con, which is a big one. And I'm going to be there with all these wrestling fans and all these wrestling legends paying tribute to Randy. And that's a huge deal to me, man. That's, all of his fans are now like my fans. And I'm honored for that. You know what I mean?
Who's in charge of the technical side of this podcast?
That would be Mr. Top Left there. That's quiet.
The quiet guy?
That was me, yes, sir.
Can you give me a link to this thing so in case somebody makes a movie or a TV show that I can send it so this Macho Man impersonator can audition without auditioning?
Not a problem. Could do that right after the show.
That's
okay.
Awesome,
I want the link. That's all I ask.
Fair enough.
Okay. And if I have the link, I have your permission to. That way, you don't have to audition. This is the audition.
Awesome. Hey, I don't mind auditioning either, man, because I know that.
No problem.
Okay, but
could do it like.
Let me hear you say, "Oh yeah."
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I think you just got the part. If there is a part.
Yeah.
Here's. Thinking. Yeah.
Thinking, man. Well, if I have your endorsement, man, that means that I must be the cream of the crop. As a matter of fact, man. Yeah. Right there.
Oh, look at that.
Cream of the crop. Nobody does it better. Dig it.
And nobody did it better than Mean Gene Okerlund because they were working together. Remember?
That's going to go down as a classic promo of all times, man.
And it was just another promo in a series of millions, but that one sticks in people's mind.
Yeah.
Cream of the crop.
He, in a sense, man, Randy was a genius in his own right. You know what I mean? That he would, I could only picture him passing by some creamers and saying, "Oh, I got an idea," or the coffee cup. Or all those promos that people remember, the newspaper.
And the dexterity that he had because he kept having another one and another one and another.
Yeah.
He's so great and so coordinated. And let me just say before we go, when I did the speech in the Hall of Fame, I wanted to say, you already knew he was great. I wanted to tell you he was good too. Because, evidently, Christopher Columbus was great, but he wasn't good, kind of a bully. Randy was a good man, and some people just ignore that part of the story.
Right.
That he didn't have any children of his own, but everybody was his children.
Right. And that's why I want...
Definitely missed.
Yeah, I want there to be a movie done because I want to show that side, man. You know what I mean? I want people to see the Randy Savage that that you knew. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Not the one that everybody claims to know. Not the one that says he did this, he did that, and you know what I mean? It's like that's like you guys are talking about Randy Savage, the character. I want to make a movie about Randy Poffo, the human being. You know what I mean? The brother, the wife, the husband. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
all those things that people forget that he's a human being and that they only focus on, you know, the crazy character.
And he was a very good uncle to my daughter, and would have been great for my grandsons if he had been allowed to have that, you know. But anyway, thank you, everybody. I'll take one more question. What would you like?
Who's got it? I'm like, I know I'll think of a million of them once I get off of here, and but I'm satisfied. Anybody else got any good ones?
Go ahead, Eric. I'm sure you've got
No,
one loaded
Dennis,
up.
go ahead. Go ahead. The only thing I'm going to ask him is if there's anything he wants to promote.
That's a good one.
The only thing I'm doing now. The only thing I'm doing now is I'm on Cameo, and
Yes.
I only charge $50. Do you know who charges $2,000?
Who? Undertaker?
Jenner.
Who?
Caitlyn Jenner.
Oh, Jesus.
You know what it is, what Cameo is. Like if you're having a birthday, I say
Right.
happy birthday
I have one
to
myself.
you, and I do a poem or something, whatever. And I'm really proud of the fact that I've never gotten less than 5 stars. As you know, everybody says, okay, did you like it? How many stars you give them? 5 stars. And only had one person didn't like what I said, and I redid it and got 5 stars. You know, because I like to give the people their money's worth. I'm a $50 man. Caitlyn Jenner is $2,000, but I treat them all just the same.
That's ridiculous.
Well, you know, she's in the ballpark.
Yeah.
Or thrown out of the ballpark or whatever. But
no pun intended with the balls.
Yeah. Yeah, I intended to puns. So, folks, any questions? Any more? I don't.
Did anybody message in any questions? Is there anybody who that was dialing in or whatever, however this thing works, that I have no idea?
There was a couple questions about Lanny's Facebook page, if he has one. There was a question about Randy and the Ultimate Warrior, how close they were in real life.
Well, okay. I have a Lanny Poffo Facebook account, and then I got some fake ones. Okay, but the real one is me with the tuxedo, and right now I'm above that I'm with a guy from the Special Olympics, and I got a picture on the pin to the top. Macho Mom is my mom and my brother with the dog Hercules.
Right.
And so everybody's gone now, even Hercules. But anyway, like I said, if you're going to say a prayer, do it for Jacques Rougeau, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and anybody else that's on the list.
For sure. Oh, you know what? I do have a question for you real quick, man. Real quick. As far as we all know the back and forth stories about, Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. They're friends. They're not friends. This, that, whatever. When Randy passed away, were they on good terms, or was that a story that Hulk Hogan? Because Hulk Hogan says that they ran into each other at the doctor's office, but then Hogan also says that when he saw Randy that he was all like jacked and this and that, but at the time it was after Randy had been like on Spider-Man when he was like the biggest, and he was already he was married. He wasn't jacked at that point, so there's holes in Hogan's story. So basically, did they make up before Randy Savage passed away?
Randy had an FY list a mile long, and as if he knew he was going to pass, he went out of his way to try to bury the hatchet with all of these people that he put on that list. And he took my mother to the cardiologist, and the nurse says, "Hey, Hulk Hogan's here. Let me talk to that guy." And they brought him in, and they hugged, and everything was great. And Randy told me, Hulk Hogan told me, I wasn't there, but yes, he and Hulk buried the axe at the time of, before Randy passed. I'd say about 2.5 weeks before.
Wow.
Now, maybe Randy was having symptoms, or maybe it was some Kundalini feeling.
Yeah.
Who knows? Nobody
I
knows.
heard, man. It's a common knowledge that there, you do get it like a sixth sense when you know that you're gonna be passing on. That there's something that you know it, and you know that you're, like you said, like when he told you about his ashes and stuff like that. There's a reason why he told you that, because he knew that he was gonna be going.
Yep. That's what I think back on all these things. All I can tell you is I have not experienced that yet. So it looks like I got a long road to hoe. And, after this COVID is done, I would like to visit a lot of places in South America, Iguazu Falls. I would like to go to Argentina, Chile, different places. And, while I'm still young enough to enjoy it.
Right.
Sure. Here I am, I'm 67 and a half. And, I had to laugh at Bill Gates. He's younger than I am, and he looks like he dropped out of a cat's ass. And, here he is on Epstein Island with pedophiles all over the place. And why does he have any credibility? I'm not a doctor, neither is he. But, boy, he wants to tell you what to do. I think he's trying to commit genocide. That's just my feelings. I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't sound...
I just wanted to... Sorry, folks. I didn't say anything controversial yet. I wanted to do it just before we go off the air.
Perfect. Wouldn't be Lanny without it, man. I can't wait to have Rip on.
Speaking of perfect, God bless Kurt Hennig, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Randy asked me if I would please write some derogatory songs for Hulk Hogan. I said, I can't do that. He gave me my 4 months and of main events. And I said, I'll tell you what I will do. Mr. Perfect had just passed away. I'll do a poem for him, a song for him. Right. But by the time he sang it, he had embellished it to the point of I didn't take it as mine. But at least it was my idea to have a song about it. But I wrote none of it. I don't even remember, I got embellished.
Motch has that CD. Motch has Randy's rap CD.
I do. Yep. I do. And it's signed by Randy, because I bought it from a used CD, like trade buy place. I bought it for $5. I opened it up, and the pamphlet says to Frank, Randy Savage. And so it's autographed. And I bought it for $5.
Excellent.
How lucky did I get?
Yeah, it's real good for you.
Real good. See, he's with me, man. He knows the deal.
Okay, please send me the link, because I want to keep it as a keepsake. And for anybody listening, I don't do podcasts anymore. I just particularly like the guy in the lower left there.
Wow, man. Thank you so much, man. I can't even tell you what that means.
Well, I just hope that your karma is about to cash in.
I hope so too, man. And thank you for your blessing, because I'm thinking that's gonna help.
Yep. I want to thank Mr. Poffo for his generous time tonight. He's answered all our questions and was very generous with his time. Thank you so much for appearing here. Motch, and we'll leave it to you to close it out.
Okay, very good. And I have I want to thank JP Zarka. I did 20 episodes with him, and a lot of people thought it was a very good podcast. It wasn't because of me. It was because of him. And he was the technical man behind everything. And what a fantastic guy. He lives near London, and he just had his second daughter, and we are still the best of friends. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, what a guy. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Lanny.
Remember Jacques Rougeau and Hacksaw. Oh, Jim Duggan.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
Thank
bye-bye.
you very much, and I'll see you later.
Ooh, yeah.
Thank you.